Perfect. Let's do it like this. Okay, everyone is back here, and I hope you have a nice conversation. So after that, and then I'm gonna invite everyone to, you're gonna have this presentation, you're gonna have access to this. This is a nice way to start also meetings. We use it in check-ins because it's also very important to warm it up and start the meetings with some nice thing that connects us as humans. So what we have done, so again, we've been working for a month. We have been in 3 sessions. We already talk about actors and relationship, what is power. We talk about the trends and mindsets, strategy and actions, and we start getting our hearts dirty this week, developing the power mapping. We advance on the level 1 and 2. I know some of you still want to go further in the level 2 on trends and mindsets. So we're going to have a time for that. But today is our last session. So we are going to go into level 3 and 4. For those who just joined, don't worry, we're going to connect you with one team so you can work with it. Okay. So before we start, I just want to go back and the methodology we're going to do today. So I want to go back in the trends and mindsets. So we're going to give you some time so you can go back on trends and mindsets. What is the long-term forces that are shaping our power distribution exercise on the mindsets? So you can go back. Remember, when we talk about mindsets, we're talking about deeply embedded values, narratives, and beliefs that are influencing those aspects and how people perceive power and change. And this, of course, includes the trends that reinforce the mindsets and the power structure. So we're going to invite you to think on what you already write. The nice thing is we already did the exercise, so we can go back and see for there what else you came out. So we are working, and I'm going to stop sharing here for a moment, in 3 groups for those who just joining. So we have a topic that is the EUDR. So thank you for the people that is working that. We have also woman and farmer. That is the 3rd group that is being on the topic. And we have the water management also led by Kim Sor. So the idea is to continue with those exercise in the mirror board that we've been working with everyone. So we are going to get back on how this exercise is going to be done. But before we go there, I want to share with you, everyone, again, the link to the mirror board, so everyone can start accessing it, and we can go back to that. So I just shared it in the chat. So I invite everyone to go back to the mirror board, and I want to show a little bit of what it has been done to the other teams. So here is Women's and Farming. So thank you for the team of Women and Farming. I'm going to zoom here. You already advanced nicely on the exercise of mapping the actors. I can see here you connect the different actors more in a local scenario. Thank you for that. And you advance a lot in the trends and mindsets. So I can see you also have a lot of exercise here. So we're going to give some time so you can go back on this, and we're going to get to the point of the level 3 first to start in that. Perfect. This is women's farming. And then we have the UDR deforestation in Indonesia, that you also advance in the exercise of mapping and have some trends. I see, Pascal, you wrote some comments. We added to the chat, and we're going to talk about them in the breakout group. And sorry, but I'm moving fast, but the idea is just give it a nice overview, not to get into details. Water governance also, actually you also put a picture, nice, that's very nice when you use pictures to connect ideas. You also advance on what were the mapping and have mapped some trends that supports business as usual. I see you haven't, sometimes it's difficult to find some that support change. So it's interesting to do the exercise and see what came out. Perfect. So those are the 3 cases we have. And we are going to divide the groups in the same way. There's some new people that are invited, so I'm inviting the ones that are leading the topics, that please make some context, little context to the people that are just meeting there. Perfect. So before I explain again and we go back in what is going to be the step number 3, I would like to know if there's any question or comment to the exercise before we start with the other thing. And also how you feel with the exercise you start and you finish on Wednesday. Any question? The floor is open. Okay, great. If we are set to go, let's get our hands dirty and let's go back to what we're gonna do in this other level, okay? So one more time, the idea is to finish this exercise, visit again the trends and mindset. My invitation is to read it with the lens of these definitions of what is the long-term forces, trends, and the mindsets, when there are the values, the narratives, the beliefs in terms of the keeping the status quo or supporting the change in these 3 cases we have. Once we finish this exercise, we will continue to the power hotspot. So this is level number 2. So what we invite everyone to do here is to identify what are those power hotspots in terms of the critical dynamics, the power dynamics that in the cases we are working on are inhibiting or enabling change, okay? What is facilitating or not facilitating the change in the cases of the projects that you have. And this is not just, it could be an actor, it could be a group of actors, it could be a power relationship between different actors, institutions, it can be a trend, it can be something that is in the narrative. For example, in the exercise, in the case of the palm oil, there was a trend of who is the owner of the land and who keeps the land and how that was connecting to the cases of the palm oil in Colombia. Or it can be a mindset as well. Or it can be a combination of those elements that is creating the hotspot. So when we talk about hotspot, we're talking about what is that place where we should put the focus on, okay? And it is like the key thing. So once we identify the hotspot, and this is through the conversation, the invitation is to use the stars. So we have a red star and a green star to map and to identify which one is, the red star is to mark the power hotspot, which is promoting the status quo. So which one is keeping the business as usual? That is inhibiting and is stopping the change and posing change, obstacles, or risk. For example, in the case of the woman farmers, what is the hotspot that is not allowing that woman's farmer can be active or can have access to loans, for example, well, the case of that, or in the case of the UDR, what is not allowing that the logic or the mindset behind the UDR works, or in the case of water management, what is not allowing that goal that you have as well, okay? So the red star is what is that hotspot that is promoting the status quo or not promoting the change. And the green one is to mark any opening and opportunities that are enabling change or could be straining to make a difference, okay? And the nice part here is that you also can put the size of the star, and you can make it bigger or smaller in order to understand the magnitude of the change of the opportunity, okay? And also, and it happens to us with for example, with the Brazil team, when we did this exercise with the Brazil team, that is, some hotspots may have both red and green stars. So that can happen. And it will be interesting to identify if you can see that in those cases. Great. So I'm going to stop here. And the idea is to go back to the middle board. So we're going to divide the groups into the topics, how you were distributed before. And we will have, for that, we're going to have 10 minutes to do this exercise. So I invite you to go back into the trends and mindsets And in the same trends and mindsets, and let me share the mirror board so we are all in the same page with that. Here in the mirror board, these ideas, these trends and mindsets, you can bring the stars from here and you can put the stars into the post-it to identify which one are the hotspots, and you can change the size. The idea is to choose between 2 or 3 hotspots that you identify from the whole. So my invitation is first finish or take a good look to the trends and mindsets that you choose. If you decide there is more, you can do it. And then we can do the exercise to agree as a team which one of these are the hotspots and which one is red and which one is green, right? Well, I'm gonna stop here. I want to see if there's any questions, any remark. Great. So let's get our hands dirty. Let's go into the groups, and the best way to learn is doing as well. So let's go there. And Ashma, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. Nice to have you too. Welcome. Yes.
Great.
I'm
Perfect.
gonna
So
start opening the rooms.
thank you, Camila. And see you there in the groups as well. So see you in 10 minutes back here. Great. Look, Minbui, yeah, okay, you see the message? Of course, Minbui, we're going to put you in the women and farmers, perfect.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
Ibrahim, great. And Ibrahim, you are in also women's farmers. And you move Ibrahim to
Water governance.
Sorry, water governance. Perfect. Yes. Great. Excellent. Ibrahim, are you there?
I don't know why I'm back, but I'm supposed to be in the women farmers.
Sure, we can put you in the women's farmers, sir.
Yes.
Camila's gonna move you to the other team, okay?
You should be able to move now and accept. Okay.
Perfect. So, Camille, you can go to the UDR. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go in between the twos, okay?
Major clubs and how that led to like the development of new market opportunities. So combined with these participatory processes where people are clear about their roles and responsibility and the communications potential, right, where you share the benefits and describe, how this could contribute to everyone and kind of smoothing over these challenge, like smoothing over the potential hotspot points. I think we had mentioned that, who stands to lose where these processes might change things. Maybe the wealthier farmers. It might be we're not. It can't be sure, but being able to be present there, I think, is a really big part already, a big key part, especially since it seems like as a result of those participatory processes, people are willing to engage and willing to accept like these roles and responsibility changes in roles and leading to maybe increased accountability because you know what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, because Lourdes mentioned that the Dimitri Club, I think the NGO sort of unconsciously adopted this approach of transformative learning because, farmers, whether you're farmers or you're big, white collared workers, you learn by looking to your peers and you feel more empowered if someone else is already doing it. And I think somehow when they're doing it right and they're grounded and they gain the trust of the local communities, they're able to facilitate that organic learning where people are where people change their behaviors not because some experts produce information, you know, statistically rigorous information for them, but because their neighbors are doing it and they're producing good results. And when they do it, it's not stigmatized. It's actually encouraged. So that organic that happens on the ground, it should be more. Programs need to take into account that factor.
That was very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Lourdes, and thank you, Kim Sor, to sharing. And there's some things that you mentioned. I just want to leave it over the table is the narratives, the communications, and the part of transformative when you are aware of the power dynamics that are in the, and that's also part of what this type of tool is also doing. And at the end, and it's not just getting the power mapping, okay, done. We have a strategies, which is also very important, but it's these type of discussions that happen with the teams. Because, you know, even inside our organization, each one has a perspective of how the project should be run, how the narratives and the power dynamics are shaping the outcomes of what we expect to co-create. So it's very interesting to have these type of discussions, even in the team. And we discovered that with the other countries when we were talking about, for example, in the coffee case, also how the inside the team, the perspective of who was enabling the process was different. So for some of them, same team. So that's good to bring it over the table and put a discussion. So that's something nice about the tool is to allow these discussions to happen, to understand even inside the team, what are those narratives and process. So I'm just want to bring that to the table. And I'm going to propose we have a break of 5 minutes. But before we go into break, and we have just 2 minutes, I want to know if anyone wants to make any comments, insights that came out from the exercise. Otherwise, yes. Great. So let's take a break, and we're going to go into start to do the visioning. So all these hotspots and things, we're going to start putting down in a more concrete area, also to give it the shape. So I'm going to propose you, we have 5 minutes break. Please don't disconnect, just turn off your camera and see you at 9 a time here, okay? Here's 9. See you in a moment. Please don't turn off your back. I hope you have a time for a nice coffee or tea, something warm or cold, depends on how's the weather where you are, or just a nice fresh water. Great. Perfect. So we are in working with power mode. So let's go back in the process of what we're doing. We're getting to the end of our process. So let's go to the step number 4. Now that we advance in the 3 first. So allow me to share the screen here. So when we talk about step level 4, and now we're getting into the strategies and actions. So when we talk about the strategies and actions, and I want to go back to what we've done so far. We first identify which the actors were, what was the power relationships among them. Then from there, we went to understand what the trends and the mindsets that were enabling or facilitating the change. We then identify the hotspots on them. Now, what we're gonna do is to focus in creating the actions and the strategies that we can do, or others in the ecosystem, in the arenas of the food system and taking to address those specific power dynamics. So when we're talking about the power dynamics, we're talking about those trends and mindsets that you already identified. There are blockages or challenges and building on the openings and opportunities. So that's the level 4, strategies and actions. So how are we going to do this? So the first thing is, and this is very nice, we did it with other countries as well, and it's called the visioning exercise. So it's moving towards a solution mindset. So it's like when you are with you want to get to the goal, you put in your mind you're going to get to the goal or you want to achieve something. So you put your mind in a positive way. So actually, in terms of the strategies and actions, we want to put in our mindset in a solution mode. So in order to do this, the invitation we're going to do is to select 2 or 3 key power dynamics. Actually, conscious of time, I would recommend if you want to concentrate just in one, it's okay. In terms if you want to go deep, because I see some of you already have like a big star in one of the hotspots. So if you want to concentrate in one of those, you can do it. And what are the vision exercise goes through is that you're going to ask these following questions. What will it look like if this change? Okay. And it can be a green star or a red star. It can happen in both sides. So what will it look like if this change? What does a better version of this situation feel like? If this were resolved, what will be happening instead? What things will be doing differently? And what becomes possible when this power dynamic is no longer a barrier, in case you choose one of the barriers, okay? So the idea is that you generate a conversation around these 4 questions. What will it look like if this hotspot change? What does a better version of this situation feel like? If we're resolved, what happened instead? And what becomes possible with this power dynamic is no longer a barrier. So the idea is to summarize in a sentence, very short sentence, or in one picture as well. You can also use a picture to represent this exercise, okay? So this is the part 1 of the level 4, okay? And I'm gonna give you some examples in a moment. Then, when we finish this visioning and we have our mindset in a positive perspective, we're gonna go to this other level, and this is the last level. So what you're looking at here is the strategy and action box. So we're gonna work over the arenas of power. Remember, we work on the arenas of power on the first session. So we're gonna work over the visible power, the hidden power, and the invisible power. So we're gonna start categorize. So the first thing is after we choose one of the hotspots or 2 or 3, I would recommend to start with 1. We're gonna take that power dynamic, that hotspot that you choose, and over that one that you choose, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna identify, okay, from that, which one responds to visible power? Which one is making and enforcing the rules, okay? And then you're gonna have post-it here to write it out. What can you have which one you can have influence on, okay? So what can you have an influence on in terms of visible power? So how that hotspot, how that power dynamic is expressing in the visible power and where you can have a influence on, okay? Then you can do the same for hidden power, but in hidden power, we're gonna concentrate on settings and influencing the agenda, the things that we cannot see. And also, what can you influence on? In terms, you think in your capacity as an organization, in your capacity as a project, and the things you're doing. And the third level is the invisible power. So here we're gonna see things about shipping norms, narratives, values, and beliefs. And again, what we can do on those arenas. Here is very important because you don't have to have it in everyone. It can be that you're just focusing on visible power or hidden power or visible power. It's okay. But the exercise of thinking on where you can be is important. My idea is that don't get stuck on the ideas, just let it flow, write it up on what you can have influence. So depends of the track of the level of approach of your organization, you have a level of influence, okay? Then when we set this first, we're gonna go to you. What strategies or actions can you or your team develop to address these challenges? So now we're gonna take it to actions level. What can you do to build on these opportunities? How can you create more favorable power dynamics? So again, what actions you can do, strategies and actions in terms of the visible power, in terms of the strategies and action, and invisible hidden power, and in terms of invisible power. Okay, so now you come from here in terms of understanding better where you can influence on, so just to write what you can influence on. And then from there, you're gonna bring some ideas of you as your organization, as your team, what you can do in terms of visible power, hidden power, and invisible power, okay? And then, because we are in an ecosystem and we are thinking in a systemic way, we're gonna also identify other actors. So the idea here is that you can, what strategies or actions can other actors pursue to address these challenges? So for example, if you are in the example of the water project, okay, what is the government can do? That's another actor that is influence that. You say that you are not part of the government, what they can do, what can build on this opportunity, how can they create more favorable power dynamics, or what they are already doing as well, okay? So the idea is to connect these two. So there are 3 levels. The what can you have an influence on? First, to set the ground on what you can influence. Then what will be those strategies and actions? Set it divided by visible power, hidden power, and invisible power, and what other actors are already doing or can do, okay? So this is it. I'm gonna stop here. I want to know if there is any questions of these that I explained is good. I see, Pascal, you have your hand turned, so over to you.
Thanks, Maria. No, the question is, the table needs to be filled in with the star in mind, the selected star in mind, or are we expanding? Because when we are looking at, I mean, the star is kind of, it will be a very specific things, but when we're thinking about all these different powers, it will apply to many more than just 1 star. So just a clarification on that, on the scope of the table.
Sure. And thank you for the question, because it also happened in other groups. So what you can do is depends of how broad the hotspot is. But if the hotspot is very specific and you see it can connect with other topics, you can also make it. And maybe what you can do, and this is for all the teams, you can bring 2 or 3 hotspots that are interconnected. In that way, you can see the broader aspect. If the hotspot you choose is very broad and you know that I can fit a lot of things, you can go just with one. And then when you start to go into the details of what you can do in the visible and invisible arenas, you're going to have more details of the other one. But yes, you can choose 3 or 2. That's what's the option. Did I answer your question? Perfect. So allow me to do something here. Let me share my screen here. And I want to just go back to this so we are in the same page, okay? So when we're talking about visible power, and this is just a reminder of what we talk on the first session, we are talking about norms. We're talking about formal decision making. You can take also a picture. I'm going to put it also in the chat so you have it. So Camila, can you help me with that? Decision making, laws, directives, legislation, policies, budgets. What is visible in there? Okay, what we know that is influence the power. When we start going down and we talk about the hidden power, we're talking about corporations, banks, elites, those closer spaces that are religious or private institutions that can influence the public agenda or the territories and the policy formulation to promote their interest, okay? It's like those closed agendas, the lobby scenarios, but not everyone has access. When we talk about invisible power, we're talking about the norms and beliefs, the values, the things that make a farmer to farm in a way because it's embedded in his ancestors or in his way, or the way the media, the narratives of the media are being managing, the meanings that they are mobilizing or dividing or excluding and the shame. We're not going to get into systemic power in this process because it requires another process to do, but we're going to concentrate on the visible power, the hidden power, and the visible, hidden, and invisible power, okay? So that's enough for this session. Great. And let me see here something before we go to Joda. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna stop here. And let's go and get our hands dirty. And remember, there's no good or wrong. This is a co-creation process. So take advantage that we are a very diverse group to go on this. And we are gonna be with you in the breakout groups. So I just want to know if there's any questions, something that you want to clarify before we go to the breakout groups. Great. Well, so get our hands dirty, and we are gonna have 20 minutes for this first part of the exercise to go back and share. So enjoy the breakout groups. Cami, if you can help me with that. And we will see you here back in 20. Interesting discussions coming up. And I would like to open the floor again to share what was your insights, what did you discover, what ring your bell. Remember, this exercise is the goal is to do a power mapping to understand power and how that influence the shifting of the food systems. We are all here connected by food. All humans are connected with food. So we are here talking about food system transformation and how power can be it. So take into account that that's the goal of these 4 sessions. And you just finish an exercise of doing the strategies, the actions, mapping the hotspot. What are your insights? What do you want to share with the rest of the team of the process that you did that it would be interesting to share with everyone? So I'm gonna open the floor. If someone wants to share the insights, that would be very lovely. So the floor is open. You can just unmute yourself or raise your hand if you want. You're very shy and it's Friday. So the weekend is coming. And this is our last time to see each other. And I know because I hear your conversation, there was a lot of insights and nice things. So how was it? I'm gonna do this not so democratic.
I wanted to say something.
Go ahead, Asma.
I wanted to bring up the point that we just discussed in the group, that to make a change, sometimes we need to work on the 3 levels to make a combination of interventions to make one positive change. Like if we need to make a change on a specific group of beneficiaries, we need to divide the intervention into different layers, so we can or different circles, so the center of the circle would be the beneficiaries themselves or the target group. We need to increase their capacity to do interventions on their level, then to expand the circle much more, to work on the community level, or sometimes maybe in between on the household level, then on the community level to make an ecosystem or to enhance the environment around them, to give them that space to do what we planning them to do. And after that, if the community and the beneficiaries themselves are ready to go, we need to have a good environment supporting them on the policy level, on the governance level. So the combination or targeting these 3 layers would have sustainable solutions, and of course the impact will be notably obvious for everyone, that we already succeeded to make a change. And for my personal perspective, I really encourage to do this one, because you cannot target just a person isolated of the community, away of the policies that control this person. So I really support this methodology of intervention offer.
Thank you, Asma. And that's a very interesting perspective also because you're thinking as an ecosystem. And something that I want to bring from what your comment is that we map the stakeholders, and remember the first step we map who was there. It's also very interesting to bring other voices to understand who is not there that should be there. Because definitely that's the blind spot on who should be in the process that we are not taking into account. That doesn't mean necessarily that we have to work with them, because we also have a scope as an organization and a capacity, resources, but at least be aware of those in terms of with whom we have to engage in order to influence in a very strategic way. That was very good, Asma. Thank you. Does anyone else wants to share your insights of this exercise in terms of the powers dynamics and maybe the click the bottom in terms of what you discover? And
Can
I would
I
love
jump
to
in?
hear.
So,
Sure.
hi, sorry, I don't know how to raise the hand, so I just interrupt.
No worries, Julia. Go ahead.
Just we didn't manage to discuss in depth the strategy, so we were just mapping even what are the areas we can influence on. And just a reflection that comes to my mind right now is, so we started mapping the visible power dynamics. And we were a little bit feeling like, oh, there is not much that we can really influence on. This is very much on others people's hands. So, but then when we started going deeper on the invisible, hidden and invisible power dynamics, that's where we started. At least I felt, that's something that I could try to influence. So maybe it feels less direct, but it can be still a very powerful, way to influence the change. So I found this exercise interesting because it helps you also to find hope, or at least your role in something that otherwise could feel a little bit off your hands, and it helps you to understand also why you do what you do and how impactful it can be for something also very concrete, as the examples that we were considering. So just a reflection.
Thank you, Sylvia. Asma, you want to compliment that? I see you have your hands raised.
Yeah. Another point that something came to my mind when I think it's a prior step of doing power mapping is to do stakeholder mapping. I know we do it implicitly, but if we did the stakeholder mapping to identify the people, the groups, the organizations who can influence the project or affected by the project, then, in the stakeholder mapping, we are identifying the level of their involvement in the project and to what extent they are interested, to participate and so on. So I think the basic step is to identify all the stakeholders. Then we can start that to eliminate some groups, or to add more, So I think we can start from stakeholder mapping to go for the power mapping, then to have to reflect that in interventions, to make the change that we are aiming to do.
Right. Thank you to both of you. And because in light of what you mentioned, I want to bring something that we discussed in the second session. And I'm going to just share the screen because visually you can remember better like this. And it's the ecosystem of strategies. One thing that you also can do when you're doing this exercise is when you're thinking on these strategies and action is to think in which of these actions you are. So to your comment, Sylvia, in terms of, okay, where I'm in the visible, invisible, or hidden power, I am in a narrative, or I have a creation, reform, organize, network, resistant, or imagine. And where are my strategies actually concentrate? That also can give me an understanding of what I'm doing as an organization and what is the point that I want to get? What is the transformation on the full system that I want to achieve? What kind of power dynamic is in there first? What is stakeholder, as you mentioned, Asma? Who are the actors that are there? So what should be the most strategic way to get there, and what I'm not looking at? Because this is also mapping is how to get to a place faster or slower. So this is the way to understand, gain awareness as practitioners, as sustainable practitioners, what we are doing and not, and where should we do it. And this you can combine, and you can also use this tool to understand, and you can classify actually the strategies that you mentioned. You can classify by the ecosystem to understand where are you more leaning, where you can stretch more, So for example, Silvia, where you were mentioned, and it's very connected to Asma's case as well, and Kim's, and the teams of Kim's, is that when we want to influence narratives, that is a big step in the hidden, okay, what are we doing there, or with whom we have to partner with in order to get to that point as well. So that was very interesting. Thank you. Reminder, I just want to remind everyone, we're gonna share all this information, and also we're gonna share the full Miro board, a clean version, so you can use it and adapt it. We also in the UNDP open to give you advice if you need some implementation of this. We already did it in palm oil, cacao, cattle, and cocoa. So we also have those experience. We're gonna publish a document with the insights of these power dynamics that we already mapped in Brazil, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Peru and Ghana. So that's gonna be also material, so you can see also from the specific cases what is in there. Great. So we're getting to the end. So I just don't, I don't know, Kim Sor or the team of Kim Sor, if you want to finish with some highlights or insights that you have from your exercise, maybe you want to share, and how was that navigating the different arenas and the strategies that you did?
Elizabeth and I worked mainly on the visible part, but we were quite hopeful. We assumed that we could make different actors reinforce rules and regulations that are there. But so that was interesting. And I guess before that, while I was working with you, we picked the dynamic, like a local dynamic, you know, the dynamic that exists regardless of whether or not a local authority is active or an NGO is active. It's a communal dynamic, and we talked about how can we shift that by influencing the types of maybe the agenda that would be put on the table. You know, how can we structure a conversation in a way that surface the activities or the benefits of the people who are benefiting from current inefficiencies. You know, there's no shortage of proposal to make things better, but then to allow to involve the people who are benefiting from the improvements not being made, it's tricky, and to involve them in a way that elevate their thinking to a higher level of benefits, that's very tricky, and the tools of invisible and hidden powers can inform that, because by working indirectly, you're less likely to trigger defense mechanisms. Because if you go in and you say, you're not supposed to do this, you're impeding on the greater good, then they'll defend themselves. So so I like the direct approach a lot. Indirect approach, sorry. Yeah.
Totally. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. So to finish this session, and I would like to invite you, and you help us with the final survey of this process. So he is Mr. Jordan. The power be with you. So in order to continue this thing, I'm going to invite you, please, if you can scan this code. In the first session, you create a code. If you didn't, don't worry, you can create it from scratch. So the instructions of how to create the code are in the Mentimeter. So you can use your phone too. I'm gonna also allow me to, if you scan the code, let me know if you scan it. I'm also going to put the link in the chat box, so those who can access easily through that. And for us, it's very important to understand how you evaluate the sessions, and yeah, to have your feedback in terms of yeah, the outcomes. So I'm going to put it right away in the chat. So to those who wants to access, here is the link. And I'm also going to write up the code for those who are connecting from the direct from the link. That's it. Here's the code. Please let me know if someone needs assistance to respond the survey. Great. I see everyone is looking down, so that means you're looking at the cell phone, which is good. And then we,
Sorry, did you send the link on the chat? I don't.
yes, I did. I did this here.
I.
Camila just wrote it
Okay.
again.
Now
Thank you,
it
Cami.
appears. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you, Cami, for that. And the code as well. And also thank you, Cami, for your help and for waking up so early. Very, very, and to
Yeah, of course. I also wanted to remind everyone there's a brief post-event survey at the end of the meeting. It's about the use of your time and how you would rate the session. It's very brief, so if you can fill it in after the Zoom ends, please do.
perfect, Cami. Thank you very much. So after the Mentimeter, when you go out, it's going to be pop-up last survey. It's part of the FACS community, food and agriculture community, where you are part of it. So all of that is very important for us to have like the insights of your perspective on this. Great. So I just want to double check. Agus, are you okay? Did the Minty open for you? Great, perfect. Elizabeth and Minbui, that cannot see your screen. Great, perfect, Minbui, thank you. Done, perfect. Okay, everyone. So this is it. We finished this session. So thank you very much. I might say I enjoyed a lot this process of co-create with everyone, seeing your faces. Thank you, Lavinia, to turn off the camera. I love to see your face and recognize you when we go to Italy, maybe. And thank you for the great session. And yeah, we will share with you this information. If you request further information, my information, contact information is also going to be on the presentation, the email, my UNDP email. So feel free to contact. And yes, please use this tool, use this. This is made for you. And we're gonna share the Miro board so you can have a fresh Miro board that you can implement also in your organizations. And thank you for all the sharings. Have a nice day and a nice weekend. Enjoy the weekend and please rest well and do what brings you joy as well. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too,
Bye-bye.
Thank
Maria.
Have a
you.
nice
Bye-bye.
day.
Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
guys.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank
Bye.
you all.
Bye
Bye.
everyone. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.